Ozzy, you play with a.
Yeah, so, this is a great opportunity. We've had a chance to meet with, every team throughout this and the bowl game. So, yeah, we've pretty much, I'm sure everyone here has covered almost every team by now. So,
As a New England guy, though, would it mean a little bit more to be able to play for New England?
yeah, I mean, in the position I'm in, we're not allowed to have any biases, right? My dream's to play in the NFL. So, whoever wants me, I'd be more than happy to go. Yeah.
Ozzy, with your dad's history, just what does it mean to get to this point, to be standing up here and talking to us right now?
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, this is something I've dreamed of since I was a little boy. So being able to, be here right now, it's been a dream of mine for as long as I can remember. Going through it, it's kind of surreal. It's a really cool experience so far. I've had a lot of fun with it.
What's it like to be here with Drew as well?
Also very cool. Growing up down the street from him, playing together at BC, it feels like we've been along the same journey kind of together throughout the whole thing. So, we're roommates here. So, I mean, again, that just kind of adds to the surreal moment that is the Combine.
How would you kind of describe your friendship with him as the years ago?
Yeah, I mean, we go back super far. Like, we grew up, a couple houses down from one another. We played in sixth grade together, so there was a connection that formed when we were really young. We went to different high schools, so we got distant a little bit, and then came back together in college. So we have a very close relationship. We're good friends outside of football, and then obviously helps when you play on the same O line. You kind of know what he's thinking without talking to him. So.
So you played with Christian Mahogany at BC. What was it like being his teammate? And do you have any funny stories with him?
Yeah, I mean he was an awesome guy. I had the ability to play next to him for a year, which was great. He's an incredible player, very high caliber player. We were good friends too. He's a big personality, and he was awesome. I really enjoyed playing next to him. In terms of stories, I don't want to put him on the spot. He's a great dude, really great personality, great player. So.
At Boston College, you competed against Donovan Ezraku for a few years. What were those battles like in practice?
Yeah, I was super happy to have him on my side. Let's just say that. The ability to go against him in practice every day, I think really helped both of us. A guy of that caliber player on your team, first of all, fighting for the Eagles, and then at the same time you get to practice against him every day, just kind of sharpen your skills. He gets to sharpen his. We had great battles every day. We made each other better. So super grateful to have him.
What do you think is?
What is it?
What made him a tough assignment?
I mean, I think his explosiveness. His numbers were good out there. He's always been an explosive guy. He's a very intelligent player. He has a game plan at all times. So especially when you're in practice, you have one-on-ones against him. You're getting a couple reps a day. You're going against him every snap throughout all the team drills. It becomes more mental warfare than anything physical. So he succeeded at that very well.
What switch sides? Not every guy is able to make that switch successfully. What was it that helped you be successful after you switched sides?
Yeah, I think the coaches at BC have always been incredible. Every head coach, O-line coach, offensive coordinator, they've all done a great job. Teaching the techniques that they want to be taught. And yeah, we as players we really took well to all the coaches. So they did a great job helping me switch seamlessly side to side. And then yeah.
And talking coaches, Bill O'Brien, coming from the NFL, were there ways in which he helped you prepare for this moment, prepare to take the next step for the NFL?
Yeah, so, like you mentioned, he came from the NFL. His program was very similar to the NFL, so it became sort of preparation in a way. Having a guy like that as my coach, going through practices, the way he structured it, all of the above in terms of that stuff, I think just helped the entire team get a sense of what it's like at the next level.
How important is arm length for you in terms of how effective you can be when it comes to something like that? Maybe from some of the other guys talked a little bit about how you can make up for a lack of arm length with footwork technique, that kind of stuff. But specific to arm length, how important is that for you?
Yeah, I think any tackle will tell you it's very important. The more you can keep the guy that you're trying to block away, the better it's going to be. So the longer your arm is really the better. There is an aspect of technique along with it. You can't just have long arms and go out there and dominate. But I would say that it definitely benefits tackles especially.
What's one thing people might not know about Donovan?
I mean, I guess it's hard to see unless you really know him how much work he actually puts in. Kind of like that intelligence side of him. I know people are starting to realize through interviews, the way he presents himself, all of that. So it's definitely evident. But I think as he goes through this process, people are going to start to get to know him, more as a person. So his intelligence, I think, is something that you see. He's an incredible athlete on the field through the way he plays, what he does in games. But I think, the mental side of it is something that's starting to come out, and that he's, definitely starting to get appreciated for.
And to that regard, he met before a senior season with Doug Marrone to kind of learn some offensive line tendencies. What do you think that says about just like his willingness to learn?
Yeah, I think it just kind of attests to everything I just said. So he's willing to meet with an offensive line coach, just pick his brain about what guys are going to think about him, what O-linemen are thinking here, the sets they use, all that. So having a resource like that, and then, him grabbing that opportunity and sort of using it to better his game, just, again, it just demonstrates how much he wants to do this, how much he's willing to put in to get to the next level.
Is there a player you model your game after?
I wouldn't say there's anyone in specific. Every guy's going to be unique. There's some similar traits to other guys, but in terms of my play style, I try to just tailor what I can that fits, my body, all of that. So I wouldn't say anyone in specific.
What teams have you met with formally here at the Combine?
Formally, we've met with a lot of teams, like I kind of touched upon before. We've had the chance to meet with basically the entire league throughout this and the Senior Bowl, so a lot of teams will say that. Yeah.
I apologize if anybody's asked you about your dad already. How much of that is what you're about? The legacy, trying to carry on a name, or does that not enter the mind? You're just here for what you can do.
No, it definitely enters my mind. I've definitely had my own journey throughout this, but it is cool to sort of follow along in his footsteps while simultaneously creating my own. So BC High to BC, and then taking the steps towards the NFL. Those are all things that he was able to do, and they're goals that I've set for myself since I was a kid. So being able to do it, it's always been in the back of my head, and I'm super happy to see it play out. It's very exciting.
You get a chance to see some old game tape?
I have seen some
old
old
the old man versus what you got? What do you think?
The tape back then is a little grainy. I haven't really studied it, I wouldn't say. But I've seen clips here and there. He was a guard, so, the game was different back then, different position. But it's always fun to see stuff like that.
All American, though. Scout, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ozzy, have you met with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Through, like I kind of touched upon before, I've definitely had a chance to meet with them at least once throughout this and the Senior Bowl.
Was it formal or informal interview?
I haven't had a formal with them, so there's that. But informals at a place like this are, sometimes they're more intense than formal. Sometimes they're basically the same thing. You're going over tape, you're drawing plays, you're looking at the playbooks, all that stuff. So,
you remember if it was with the offensive line coach or scouts?
Again, yeah, we've met with a lot of people. It's been a couple times, so we've met with probably hundreds of people in terms of scouts, coaches, all that. So I just don't want to get into any specific details, but I've definitely met with them.
How helpful was Matt Applebaum in your development? How important was it for him to come back, and what did that do for the offensive line?
Yeah, I think he's an incredible coach. We were super lucky to have him come back. Nothing against Coach Gooch too. He got put in a really tough situation that year. We had 5 fresh starters on the O-line. There was only a couple of us that had a few games started here and there in the previous years. So he got put in a tough situation. He did a great job developing the guys. Some of us just needed a year under our belts, starts under our belts. We needed game snaps to sort of see, this level of football. It was something that we weren't fully used to in game situations yet. It's hard to mimic that in practice. So he did a great job with us. Coach Applebaum also, is an incredible coach. I credit him to a lot of my success. The way he teaches us, the way he connects with all of us, his techniques. He's not a cookie cutter coach. He's not going to just drill his technique. If something doesn't work for me, that works for another guy. He's very flexible in his coaching. So I'm super happy to have him. He's a great coach.
You just touched on it right there. The 2022 season was really tough for you guys, hearing a lot of outside noise, injuries, all that stuff. How formative was that for your development to go through that kind of adversity?
Yeah, as awful as it was going through it, I think it did benefit us in the end, especially as an offensive line. We hold ourselves to a high standard at BC. There's a tradition of O-linemen there, so having a year like that was something that we really had to basically try to stay as far away from as possible. Like I mentioned before, we had 5 new starters, so having a year where we never we knew we never wanted to feel that again. And now we had game snacks, we had starts. We started to build that relationship playing in games together. It was super vital for the success of us in the next year and years to come.
Were you tight with Kendall? Because I understand he's a legacy too. His dad played in the NFL as well.
Yep. So we actually grew up down the street from one another, same hometown. So
really?
we went to different high schools, but we played Pee Wee football together. And then when it came time for him to commit to college, I was a year ahead of him. So I was sort of part of that recruiting process. Giving him phone calls. But yeah, he's an incredible guy. I was super lucky to be able to play next to him.
Ozzy, back in the regular season when you guys faced Mizzou and Columbia, did you get the chance to match up with defensive end Johnny Walker at all?
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it is a long time ago. Testing your memory a little bit.
Yeah, no, so, yeah, I mean, they had some great DNs.
Yeah.
A lot of talented players, especially going to a place like that. That environment was awesome. I specifically remember it being, very loud. It was an earlier game, warm weather. But, yeah, I mean, that game was a lot of fun. We were able to sort of play against great opponents, put good film out there. It didn't go the way we wanted, but, I think the boys played pretty well.
And in a more general sense, what's one area in your game that you think you improved the most in this past season?
I think I do. I'm a taller guy, so I'm not always going to have perfect pad level out there. There's going to be times that DNs get their hands in my chest, speed to power, whatever the move might be. I think something that I've worked on with Coach Applebaum, he works on with all the guys. We had a pretty tall O-line, so it is beneficial for everyone, is the ability to sort of re-anchor yourself when you're getting bull rush, speed to power, whatever it might be. You're out leveraged, your hands aren't in a great fit, the ability to kick your feet back, refit your hands, sort of lower your hips and raise their center of gravity, and just re-anchor yourself, especially, in pass protection situations.
Being an offensive lineman?
Yeah, so when I first started playing football in 6th grade, I was an O-lineman. And then when I got to high school, it sort of switched around a little bit. I was a leaner guy, so I was playing DN, tight ends. I say tight end, I was a glorified lineman. I was a blocking tight end, but, I ran a couple routes in my day. And then junior year of high school was when I really started to strictly play O-line. And yeah, I mean, I'm super happy about it. I knew the day would come, but yeah, it really happened junior year of high school on.
What about your skill set makes you better as an offensive lineman than a defensive lineman?
I think I'm very technically focused. I like to use the analogy in high school, if you're more talented than the other players, you're going to dominate, regardless of how hard you work, regardless of your technique. You get to college, that talent gap really, really slims down. Everyone there is talented. They wouldn't be there if they weren't. So where you put in the time off the field in terms of film, technique work, extra work, all that stuff really separates you. And then obviously at the next level, which is my dream, that gap closes almost completely. So you could have guys less talented than another guy just minutely, but that hard work is going to make them, the player that they are.
Do you enjoy gaps or is it better?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy a lot of things. At BC, we did a great job with the playbook in terms of being, having a wide variety of plays that we run. I wouldn't say I enjoy one more than the other.
I know Drew's a pretty chill, funny guy off the field, but what's he like at center in the trenches there making the calls?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's great off the field. We have a good time, we have a good relationship. The whole O-line at BC, they're my best friends. So on the field, though, we have a very serious tone about us. Very calm, poised, but aggressive in the nature of being an O-lineman. You have to be. That's the best way to be successful is to maintain a good balance of both. So he does a great job kind of treading that line. I think all of us do.
Is there a specific part of your game that you think translates the best to the NFL?
I mean, yeah, I think technique-wise, like I kind of touched upon before, I'm a very technical player. I take pride in, my footwork, being in the right position, as much as possible. So I think that's something that, like I mentioned, talent gets you so far, but eventually your technique, your film study, your preparation is gonna close any gaps that there might be, and then put you ahead of, your opponent. So.
Do you enjoy a great pass set or a run blocking set more?
That's a good question. I don't know if I enjoy one more than the other. Winning a rep versus a guy is always going to feel good. There's something about having a run play where you get the guy on his back, I mean, that's always going to feel incredible. I think any O-lineman would tell you that. But there's also something to be said for, getting a super wide D end who's trying to run down your face and then you stone them. They both feel, really great. So I wouldn't say there's one in particular.
Is there one rep this season, kind of going off what you just said, that gave you that feeling that felt amazing that you would, you'd want to show to people?
I mean, yeah, there's reps out there. I don't know if one in specific comes to mind. It's on the film. Every game there's a couple of them. Every game there's stuff you want to be able to do again, do over, and then every game you're going to have plays that you do well. So I wouldn't say anything in particular.
Who's the guy going back to BC that we're not talking about right now, but a year from now we're all going to be talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. I mean, we have a lot of talented players coming up. I think Coach O'Brien's going to do great things for the program. In particular, I'll shout out my guy Logan Taylor. He's an O-lineman. He had a great year last year. He's showing that he can play different positions. He's played tackle. He's played guard. He's a very physical guy. He fits the mold of Boston College offensive line. We were super happy to get him up to BC in the transfer portal. So he's someone that I think is going to take great strides next year. I'm excited to watch him play.
Ozzy.
Thanks, Ozzy. You want to grab your name card?
Yeah, thank you.